Hey, this is Nick from Remedy667.com, the best place on the internet for horror themed fonts and typefaces. And today is Horror Font Friday. And you know, I'm in a super quick hurry today, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot, but I think this is from the Tomb of the Resurrected Dead. Something like that. The words don't really look totally right to me, but it said like the resurrected blind dead, something at the bottom of this poster. It was in a photo that I had. I'm always taking pictures of posters and stuff, and I believe it's from a book. So I'll have to double check on what exactly this film was. The movie we got going on in the background is Tomb of the Blind Dead, and I'm just going to jump right into this because it's a quick week. And yeah, it's been a crazy week too. And if my chair sinks, don't worry, we'll be fine. Look at that last week's Bloodsuckers. We'll see if we actually get a chance to make this one this week. I know the drippy fonts are, less popular with some people, even though I am a huge fan of them. I also know that people tend to like my giallo and Italian influenced fonts based on that kind of lettering. So that's kind of what we're going to do this week. We're going to check some of that out. HJKL QRSTU M and reducing. So usually I'll record these the Friday prior and then try and get as much done as I can, but I'm in the middle of a super crazy week. I've got to plan a website launch, sort of, that we've been in the middle of for a couple months now, and it's getting really close. And tomorrow we're going to get all the teams together on a phone call and test. And I'm in charge of the meeting, and I am terrible at talking to people, whether you believe that or not from watching these videos, or if you know me. That may not be believable, but it is some terrifying stuff, let me tell you. And I've got lots of stuff to do. I want to get through this, and I also want to get some emails done. It's been a busy couple weeks, but I think it's pretty interesting because normally I definitely don't do fonts at this speed normally, but I gotta say I have really been enjoying it. It doesn't give you time to really think about all of the other stuff that stressed me out about a release. Like, I need posters, and I need title cards, and a zine, and a this, and a... So I just don't have time to make half that stuff, so I just don't. And, I don't know. We'll see if it matters or not. I think it probably does. Still. But, if I start selling any of these, which probably won't happen for a couple of months. This is a pretty slow time of the year for me. But, if any of these take off, whoa, screaming, then we'll know, How should we address this G? This is kind of interesting. I think it's going to have to dip lower than the C, actually. So The C comes up like that, but I think the G is going to have to go more like that. And loop around here.
You can get it from the gentleman in the last car.
Very well. Enjoy your trip.
Excuse me.
Actually, I want to
Tell me where our next stop will be.
bring that into like there, because I do want that to stick out or protrude or whatever
That's impossible. Against regulation.
a little bit.
Where would you go in this blizzard?
There must be a village around.
So
Not around here, there isn't.
go ahead and line that up. No, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to unite these, let's say. And that should have a little inward bow. Much better. Pardon me, I'm going to pull my chair up because it's sinking. It's driving me crazy. All right. HI. Looks like a lot of this is made. I mean, granted, we've been sitting here making a bunch of it as we go, but...
No, I never stop in this place. But you heard the alarm. I don't care. Look there.
That's a little sloppy, huh? We're going to skip the J and the K. We like to save those for later in the story. And we're going to shoot for an M. I know I said I wanted to go through this really fast, but at the same time... I do want this to come out pretty cool. So we'll take our time with a lot of it. And this is one I'm a little frustrated with it to begin with, which is kind of makes me even wonder about like taking it all the way through. But like, I wish it was a little more hard edge, and I understand that it could be if I went and redrew it. And maybe I will one day, but we'll see. And maybe, you know, I was thinking about that with the Giallo Rosa, which is another one of my fonts. From a while ago, and it was done in a way where it's like very jagged on the sides, like electric, because the half toning is so intense. But sometimes I'm like, oh, that would be nice to go back and revisit that. And then other times I'm like, I don't have time to go back and revisit that. But perhaps there will come a day. Now, should that P be like that? Or should it be, whoops, more like the C? And just kind of leave itself heavy at the bottom? Weird. Spam risk. Throwing me off my game. Ooh. Maybe they'll leave a message. I bet it's about voting for people, because all them candidates are calling right now. They leave you these voice messages like, hey, it's Bill Steve Stevenson. Just wanted you to know. I'm going to grab all this and move it down, because that box right there, it's going to drive me nuts. I usually get rid of it. Apparently I didn't this month. Maybe I don't usually get rid of it. I don't know. I try not to lie. This is going to be, get rid of that U. This is going to be our J right here. I'm going to use an I and a C.
Is anyone here?
And we're going to slice that C up right there like that. And we're going to cut that I right there like that. And that is a nice looking J, I think. But what do I know? K's can be a little weird in these style fonts. Part of me is looking at the top of this like, oh, that might be an interesting for the K. But the bottom with the R is still kind of weird. Yawn. So let's just delete that altogether for right now. And jump right on into the N. So the N is going to be of the M. But as you can see, I'm just angling it a little more, but still keeping it in a position where I can make it thinner, or, you know, just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to cock this side left just a little bit, just 1 pixel. And round that off.
Is there anyone here?
Feel like that O needs to go a little above and below. All right, so where are we at? K's and V's and W's and U's. We'll get this N. Let's use this E. I'm gonna cut this A, as you can see. What? So this is actually going to be for our some other letters, but for the V, I want it to be way more thin, like there, group. And I know that's super heavy at the bottom, but I think it might work. Maybe not. Let's do this. Just bring it down. I think that looks good. It's less heavy. It's a friggin' mess when you look at those points, though, right? Yeah, that's how we like it. Our W then is going to be using the wide one with the N. So the N is going to go that way a little bit and team up with this. And I think it needs to come in a little bit. No, this one needs to. Why? There we go. See that? So that's going to clip up really low in the bottom. This side is going to come in right similar with the other side, which is definitely a little wider. And that's still its own piece. I want to keep that its own piece. That... part of this feels balanced to me, and part of it feels very like I want to grip my teeth. It's hard to look at. It also feels like it kind of works. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a fan. I don't know how we're gonna make the X yet. Uh-oh. Well then, something big is happening. My phone was going off. I was in a work meeting earlier today. And my phone kept going crazy, and it was my brother posting a picture of his son holding a pretzel that was the size of his head. And I was like, oh, I wish I had a pretzel the size of my head right now. I believe his son is probably like 4, going on 5 pretty soon. I think he'll probably start school this year. But oh man, to be like that age and have a pretzel that big, it's a good day. All right, so this is the V that is kept to the top. I'm going to cut it right there. I want this to angle just a little bit more. I don't know if I always do this with Y's, but it seems smart, not wise. I'm going to cut that right there, and I'm going to bring these in so they're like pretty close. And I might widen up this base. Part of me was like, well, I'll angle those more, but I don't think so. I think this font feels, the Z isn't very convincing to me because it's not as jagged, but this font feels kind of like a little rough and like kind of like too rocky, maybe. Like, I kind of like that. I'm going to cut that right there. And what do you feel about that K? I think that feels all right. We ordered some Barbara Steele movies the other day for interesting lettering in the credits. Speaking of interesting lettering in the credits, this movie that we got on right now, I don't remember what it's called. No, it's called Tombs of the Blind Dead from 1972. It has some really cool lettering in the whole opening sequence, but definitely on the title card is Horror Font Friday approved. So maybe I'll give that one a try. This week was a little bit of an off week. I kind of knew it was going to get crazy. We're in a pretty big like culmination point in a project, in our web project that we've been working on. So there's just a lot going on. It's a bad week for trying to get anything done. But you know what? Don't matter. Whoops. I don't want both those pants going. Just this one. Now the only letter that doesn't feel rocky and craggy, I guess, if that's a word, is this Z. It just feels a little too smooth for me. but it's only going to build out our 7. So let's take these. We're going to go into our font self, making a new font this week. New font altogether. I'm going to get the A through Z. Batch that. Whoops, what was that? That should have made an apple, right? What is that? Why is it a double asterisk ligature? Hold on. Move this to the top. Let's take a look at what's going on here in our layers. It's Option Shift K, right? Is it Command Shift K? I have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy that. Okay. And paste it. Oh, remember the other day I was talking about my number pad? How do you like them apples? Wasn't sure if you could actually see it. I had to bring myself up on screen. Anyway, enough monkeying around. So I don't know what that thought it was. Smart Space and Kern. We're going to save this as Tomb the Oh wait, hold on. Is there enough room for the DS? Yes. All right, let's save this. Excellent. It's a beautiful world. All right. Let's paste. Get up to speed here with how big this needs to be. Holy moly. All right. And this looks like this is going to be, we're going to get the numbers and then we're going to move to the next layer. So, here we go with numbers. All right. We are going to Command Shift O, Command Shift G, and just get started right on here. I'm going to flip the middle of it that time, huh? Transform, reflect. Yes. Making our 2, making our way in the 2 today. Which looks a lot like a backwards S. Oh. This wants to come in like that. I feel like I should be drinking a beer or something. What? Is this movie Spanish or German? I feel like I've seen posters and stuff for this, like on Pinterest. It's one of those movies, you know. I've seen this on Pinterest, but I don't think that I've actually seen this. And let me tell you, this looks fierce. And very interesting. Like, I would love to get back into this when I'm not making a font. Or maybe I'll put it on again when I'm making the actual lettering piece from the opening title card of this film. I like putting on the movie that I'm actually working on the lettering for, but last week that wasn't possible because I couldn't find it. And this week it's not possible because I was a bad friend and didn't do my research very well. So whatever I'm actually saying about the movie that this lettering's from is probably going to get changed in the comments. Oh, last week, speaking of things, last week was the first time I ever tried using the YouTube chapter stops. I'd always kind of thought about it, but I didn't know how to do it. And I finally looked it up, and it was way easier than I could have imagined. So hopefully you like that. I thought it made more sense to, like, you know, let's do it all in one run in one video instead of putting out the part 1 and part 2s. And I noticed that the part 2s were more popular, or seemed more popular with what people wanted to watch or what people were watching. But it also seemed dumb to, like, not make an alphabet and just be like, okay, this is how you make, you know, the different characters. Also, the different characters, this is just how I make them right now, and that might change because it's changed to how it is now over the years, and I'm sure it'll evolve even more. Look at how smooth this 7 is. So gross. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
It's been deserted for over 100 years. But maybe our friend stayed the night there. Oh, I'm sorry. I wouldn't ask about it if I were you, senor.
And just why not ask about it?
Nothing, senor. We're not allowed to talk of such.
Speak up.
The management of this hotel doesn't want anyone to know of our local superstition.
When I was a kid, I feel like I probably told this story before, but me and my cousin were like
No, please.
talking about how to draw 8s, and he was drawing them like this, you know, like the infinity sign sideways, and he was talking about how hard it was to get them like evenly balanced on top of each other when you draw them like that. And then he was like, try it. So I sat down, drew an 8, and I just drew 2 circles on top of each other.
I feel I should go.
And he said that they weren't allowed to do that at his school. They made him
Yes, a superstition.
they made him draw it this way. He's like, nah, our teacher won't let us do it like that. And I was like, man, that's stupid, because either way is acceptable and looks like an 8 when you were finished. And I don't know what that was a lesson for them at that age. Oh, this is going to need the tricky ampersand. I don't even remember what age that was. It couldn't have been too young because we've always been old. But it was definitely some, you know, elementary school business whenever you're learning how to draw eights. Feel like these days I'm still learning how to draw eights and most letters in general. Just kind of experimenting with them, seeing, you know, how things look, what I like. I'm gonna draw our 0 through 9. Let's smart space and current those just at regular and go ahead and save that back to our fonts folder and get that window out of the way, please. And now let's actually get started on making the font. We got our numbers, we got our letters. This we will call, I think I called it the fancy letters last week. I sometimes refer to these as the circles because the main thing you're making right here is the circle, which is going to give you some of probably the least used characters in this style of typeface. I mean, I don't think people are... I feel like, you know, when you see something that's a wild font and then you look for the registered trademark symbols, they're always in Helvetica. Like, or some sans serif, like, font. Like, oh, why don't I just, like, draw out my own, and it's the same every time. You know what I should do? I should make the registered out of the R from my logo. And then every time somebody uses one of my fonts and for a logo with its registered, it'll have my logo like hidden in it. A little circle R. That might be a... probably get me sued at some point, for which seems dumb or weird, but who knows. The world is a pretty bizarre place these days.
Never seen anything like it. I don't know, it's very strange.
All right, so this is going to get pushed over there. Those two are coming over. Those are our parentheses. We're going to cut our Sadia. I had a document once, but so before I came up with this method, or I guess while I was working my way through this method over the last couple years, which seems ridiculous, but I had been building out these ganged up documents, right, with all the fonts in them. And I had some that had like 20 and 40 fonts that I'd be working on at a time. And I would just like kind of scroll down through them. So I'd be like, all right, make a, so right now, what is this? Get out of here. I don't really want to learn more. Stop it. So I was literally working on like a bunch of fonts at once. So this would come in and then I would do this set and get it how I liked it pretty quick. And then instead of moving on to the copyright symbol, I'd scroll down and then there was another font there and I would do that set. So I'd do like, I have my lunch break. I'd do like, just draw like 20, 30, 40, however many was in the document of the same character. And it would take so long. And that was how I did 31 Days of Horror fonts in like 2023 3 or whatever, when there was essentially a font every day, and it was really kind of fun for how also maniacal it was. But at the end, it was gratifying, because then you're like, wow, I got like 20 fonts that are done. But then sometimes you look at them and you're like, these could have been better. And I feel like, or you have them, they're not really done, they're done to a certain point, I guess, is what is a better way to say that. But but then you're like, oh, I could have done these better though. I could have done this here. But then at that point, you're kind of over it. You don't really want to, like, oh, I should have tweaked this letter a little bit, because you're not looking at it in context with the rest of that font, It was an interesting way to work, though. I would definitely recommend it. It gets you ready for this type of marathon foolishness. I guess I would recommend it. I thought it was very fun. If you like making fonts or drawing letters, I would just definitely recommend doing all sorts of stuff. Just keep experimenting. Just remember, it's art, and doesn't matter. Do it for you. And I feel like that's something that's easy to forget sometimes when you're making art type stuff. It's easy to forget. So let's go ahead and import these. See, I told you we were going fast. We're kicking butt. We're at like 37 minutes. I didn't want to say this in the beginning because I didn't want to jinx myself, but I was hoping, I was like, oh, I'm going to pick this piece of lettering that I had on my phone because it's already got a bunch of stuff drawn, and maybe I can get this all finished in like an hour. I still am not fully convinced that I'll be able to get it all done in an hour, but that would be cool. I still have a little bit of time. Whoops. Whoops. Glimpse of the future past. I want to copy this bit and copy them. And we're going to walk on over to the next layer. Did I draw all that on the guide layer? All right, hold on. X. Front. All right, what did I say? I was going to grab that and this, copy, and we're going to go on to the next layer, paste those in the front, because this, that's right, boys and girls, it's time for my favorite part, and that is building out the math. Let's get these out of the way. We're done with those. And get these here. Get our guides turned on. Did I put the guides on this layer? No. Okay, good. So the first thing I want to do is kind of even these out a little bit. It depends on the font. I feel like these might end up looking a little weird evened out also. But, it is what it is. Group that. Bring that one into about there. Whoa. Did you hear my throat, stomach? Make a bunch of weird noise. That was not a zombie from the television. All right. Underscores, love them. Like I recently started doing the cut underscore. What I used to do was just squish down the end dash. I would hate to go back through some of my fonts. I mean, these are characters that I don't think people use that often, but I'm always like, ugh. I also say I would hate to go through some of my old fonts, but at the same time, man, I'm loving it. I'm actually doing it every once in a while. I redid,
Can you tell us anything about that strange place?
not like
I lived there when I was young. You must have heard of
fine tooth comb entirely, but like I just redid
really nothing.
a font Afraid of the Dark that I had done years ago. I'm in the process, which I've been working on for a while, but the process of redoing a lot of the fan club fonts on my website, and those are actually going to change, I think, to dollar fonts. So if you're in the Horror Font fan club, you should grab them now, because the license will be the same, but I was thinking about changing them to dollar fonts, like actually a while ago. I had talked to this other type designer named Beck McCormick, and she was telling me, because I was like, hey, you have, I was like, I knew we're in a bunch of the same forums and stuff, and I was like, hey, I was checking out your website, and I realized that you have dollar fonts instead of free fonts, and I just want to know, like, what's the deal? So I was talking to her about that, and she was like, well, she's like, I did free fonts for a long time, but people just come and get a free font and then they never buy anything and they never come back. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. I can vouch for that. Whoa, look at that. I got it fixed. Oh, but so what Beck was telling me was that people will come and get the dollar fonts almost like little coupons or add-ons to the regular fonts. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I would do that. I do that when I go to people's websites and buy things. I totally do that. So I said, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll try it out. And she was like, do it. Try it out. She's like, it worked really great for me. Let me know how it works for you. And that was months ago, because I am the worst at all sorts of communication. And I still haven't even tried it. And I've been trying to try it, but I want to make them a little more... That's not the character I wanted to make. I wanted to make them a little more, worth $1 before I, like, that's a thing, right? Before I actually went and tried it. But, don't worry. If you're already a fan club member and got the fonts when they were less than $1, you'll already have the license. Because the way you have a license is when you download it through my site, it keeps track of everybody. I keep track of everybody who downloads it. So go get your downloads now before they're $1. And no matter when you download it, the price you paid. But then as the font gets updated or whatever, and they don't... I'm not over here frequently updating things yet. Sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I am. I feel like I kind of jump around randomly. Like I was trying to get better at speaking in front of people like we were talking about earlier, and decided that, you know, maybe making a YouTube channel is a good way to do that. And somebody was telling me, you know, people would be interested to see your process, and I'd had people asking about it before, but I didn't really think anything of it. Like, nobody wants to see my process. Nobody wants to see me yammer on and make letters really fast. But I don't know. Turns out at least 9 of you do. Or 6, or however many people watch this. I'm gonna group that, slide it over, get out of my way. And I need one of these to be more perfect. Not more perfect, more of a that shape. What comes next? Punctuation. No! Not punctuation. I'm just gonna delete that. I delete things a lot. It's not the best attitude to have. Maybe. All right, so this is gonna get a big, thick period and a big, thick, whatever that's called. I'm making baked potatoes for dinner tonight. I had to look at the screen for a minute like, Jesus, what's going on? Do I need to fast forward this? Is this going to get me banned from YouTube? Also, I thoroughly assume at some point I'm going to have some 70s grindhouse movie going on in the background while I'm doing this, and it's going to have some wild nudity, and I'm going to get banned from YouTube. So watch these videos while you can. Learn things, you know. Ask questions. Send me an email. Visit my website. I'm here to help. Looks like they're dumping salt all over that person and cutting them. That does not seem like something that is comfortable. All right, so now we've got that set up. We are going to add our exclamation point, and that's actually pretty easy. It isn't going to go that far. It's going to get a little bit wider. Duplicate. Group. We are going to reflect this. Excellent. I'm going to delete those two and duplicate these. That one's going to go there. This one's going to go here. It's going to go up a little bit. And cross over. Group, group. And we're just going to round some of these off just to give them a little bit of variation here.
The Templars took over by force, and their blood rituals sacrificed every
And
creature
group
there.
those.
They continue to ravage.
Where are we going from here? Currency? Well, hold on. Before we get into currency, let us... All right, so we got currency. We got about 10 minutes left. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do... See if I can fit all this. This is about to be big and gross. Whoops. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit all this. Let's go to another layer.
I haven't heard from him since.
I can tell you, Professor.
He lives in a village
On the River Guadiana, near the frontier of Spain. He's now the boss of a gang that deals in contraband.
His life is out of my control now.
Why do you bring this up, Inspector?
All right. With the quickness, we are going to run through the rest of this really quick. So for currency, we like to just take that. I'll cut this S, whoops, right through the center. And
My son is perhaps a smuggler, but not a killer.
just get it trimmed so that it's going perfect for my cent symbol. Coming up here is our euro, which is kind of like a C. I'm going to dig into a little bit right there just because I need some room to display this equals. Group that. This is the sterling. You notice I got the thing for my hand because it was hurting, and now I'm back to doing complex key commands. Because I'll never learn stop grouping. I don't know if group is a command that I've brought into there yet. Release the compound path because I just want those to be a little bit closer. Yeah, I use different fingers to make my group.
Nina, this is Betty.
What do we got here? Oh, here we're drawing. This is fun. You just, you know, go out a little bit, go in a little bit,
Take a note.
go in a little bit, go out a little bit.
I've got a pencil. Pensados store, Rua Sinal 17.
And this also is going to get released from its compound path. This is going to get shrinky-dinked and connected. And grouped. Whoops. And grouped and grouped. Now I had to group it twice because I did it wrong the first time. And these are just going to get... Whoops.
Bye, Nina. Adios.
I find it easier to go from the inside to the out, and then it knows what it's supposed to match up with. Whereas if you grab it up here, there's a lot of lines. It's really easy to grab the wrong one. Group. Group. Right? We're just grouping stuff. Ain't no thing. We're going to stretch that a little bit, which seems weird, but actually really want to stretch that part a little bit. Group. Going to cut down the thorn. This is the speed round. Group. Am I drawing stuff with that pencil? Better not be. That'd be awful messy. Group. I think it's the speed round is probably the actual reason why my wrist starts hurting. See that, huh? I keep thinking I want to make, I I don't keep thinking. I've been thinking about it for a while, like making a connected script. I've kind of wanted to make one for a long time. It's one of those things that it feels like an oversaturated market to me, but at the same time, I mean, I'm just going to sit here and oversaturate this market. There's new horror fonts coming out all the time. I didn't invent the wheel. I don't even necessarily think I'm the best at it. But I enjoy having my niche.
Hello? Oh my god. Hello?
What else do we got here? Smalls. I can put the smalls on here. Where are we looking on time? 56 minutes. Holy moly. This whole thing is the lightning round. I saw a thing about a new horror font. And I gotta check it out and be like, man, it's because I'm a bad at communicating. The world will move on without me because I'm have trouble finishing things. All right, that gives us about 2 minutes for diacritics. All right, ready? Final speed run. New layer. All right, and I don't think we'll get it there, but hey, that's just me being pessimistic. Probably shouldn't have been jawing on so much in the beginning. Command Shift O, Command Shift G. We'll bring it together, ungroup it. Let's get these going. If you would like to watch the countdown, you can just do it in your mind. We go rotate that. Want it a little smaller. Goes up. Goes down. And then Hungarian style umlauts group small rotate and get it in there. All right, the ring and that. So this one's gonna get cut and become our brev. And get that actually a little smaller. This is there, and this is, I keep wanting to say macron. Sometimes they call it an overscore. I want to rotate this actually, I think, for that character. And did we make it? Oh, 5 seconds over. All right, well, you know what? Maybe we'll try for it again next week. I probably shouldn't have been blabbing on so much at the beginning. But, you know, that's the way it goes. So this is what we ended up with here. These are all the characters we drew in the hour, and everything is caps. We can turn on caps here and take a look at how this actually looks. We got punctuation. I don't know what ETC does. Shows us some of the other characters we've got here. Numbers.
Very gallant.
Yeah. Looks like our apostrophe didn't read correctly. I think I actually have that set up as a quote instead of a curly Q. And our diacritics, that all gets built out in glyphs. So that I will do
Listen to that.
later in the week.
You sound like you're getting frightened, Pedro.
Or later next week.
You kidding? She's not even
Hopefully before this video comes out. And then hopefully we should have this ready to go. So like I was saying, next week I think I might try something a little different
There goes your nice
and maybe not do an alphabet.
likes her.
Instead try and finish up an old Horror Font Friday, or not Horror Font Friday, an old 31 Days of Horror Fonts typeface, and kind of see where that goes, and
Show me Pedro.
or maybe even revisit something else. But yeah. Anyway, this is Nick from Remedy667.com. I'm sorry I kept you here for so long. You're going to turn into a pumpkin. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you later. Toodaloo.